Do you know why Jules Rimet changed the world forever? Most people assume it's because he created the World Cup, or because he steered FIFA through its fragile formative years. That barely scratches the surface. If you think that's the whole story, you're missing the real one entirely. Reducing Jules Rimet to a bureaucratic founder is one of the greatest misunderstandings in the history of sport. When you triangulate the evidence, his private diaries from the trenches, thousands of handwritten letters preserved in FIFA's Zurich vaults, meeting minutes no one read for decades, and the raw geopolitical terror that hung over Europe between 1918 and 1945, a far more extraordinary figure emerges. A quiet, almost shy French lawyer who spent decades waging a private war against the next world war, armed only with a leather ball and an almost naive faith in human goodness. Buried in yellowed Federation minutes and forgotten personal letters is a truth that sounds like fiction today. Jules Rimet was not trying to build the greatest sporting tournament on earth. He was trying to redesign the emotional architecture of humanity itself. The 14th of October, 1873. Jules Rimet is born in Ivry-les-Lavancourt, a tiny village in eastern France. In 1884, at age 11, he moves with his family to Paris. The city is alive with the tumult of the Third Republic, anarchist bombings, debates over the Dreyfus affair, the birth of modern internationalism. Young Rimet absorbs it all. In his early 20s, Rimet is a qualified lawyer and a founder of Red Star Paris, a sports club built on the radical principle of inclusivity. Factory workers and university students train side by side. In that single act lies the blueprint for the World Cup decades later. Football as a leveler, dissolver of divisions, a language everyone could understand. Then comes the war that changes everything. 1916 to 1918, Lieutenant Jules Rimet, 11th Artillery Regiment, Verdun sector. He is in his mid-40s, balding, bespectacled, more schoolmaster than soldier. He spends months in trenches, so close to the Germans that voices carry across no man's. On Christmas Day 1917, for 20 minutes, the shelling stops. French and German soldiers emerge, exchange cigarettes, and kick a dented ration tin back and forth. Laughter echoes across the mud and wire. Officers threaten courts-martial. Rimet watches quietly, heartened by what he sees. Humanity persists, even in the worst of circumstances. In the margin of his paybook he writes, "If they can do this once, they can be made to do it again and again. Until it becomes normal, the idea will haunt him for the rest of his life." Could football prevent another war? 1919 to Paris Peace Conference. Clemenceau, Wilson, and Lloyd George carved the planet with rulers and resentment. Rimet, newly demobilized, walks the corridors clutching a one-page proposal, a permanent world football tournament every 4 years. Diplomats pat him on the head. "Monsieur, we are saving civilization with bayonets, not footballs," one says. Rimet notes the man's name. 10 years later, that same diplomat will beg for World Cup tickets. March 1921, elected president of FIFA. The organization has 7 member countries, £47 in the bank, and meets in a borrowed room above a Paris hardware store. Germany and Austria are still treated as pariahs. Rimet, first executive order, is 2 sentences long. Germany and Austria are readmitted with immediate effect. Anyone who objects may leave. Nobody leaves. Within 6 weeks, both countries rejoin. FIFA achieves what the League of Nations cannot, the first diplomatic rehabilitation of the losers of war. For 7 years, he is mocked as the apostle of the ball. Le Figaro prints cartoons of him in priestly robes, holding a football. Rimet clips the insults and files them under motivation. Night after night, he writes letters to South America, Africa, and countries with barely organized leagues. Most go unanswered. His correspondence fills archive boxes, a man attempting to invent globalization before the word exists. 1924, Paris Olympics. Uruguay destroys everyone with a style Europe has never seen. French crowds rise to applaud the enemy continent. Rimet weeps on the touchline. That night, back at a restaurant, he sketches the first draft of a world tournament on a menu. Title: A Festival of the Youth of the World. 1925, he quietly sells 40 hectares of family vineyard to finance a South American tour. Third-class trains, shared meals, sleepless nights, all in service of a dream that borders might be bridged by a ball. 1928, Amsterdam Congress. The World Cup proposal is voted down 25 to 5. Rimet produces fresh proxy telegrams from South America. New vote, 23-7 in favor. Half the delegates are furious, half in tears. One Dane mutters, "Mon Dieu, we have just been colonized by a Frenchman with a dream." June 1930, Conte Verde steams south across the Atlantic. Rimet is 56, seasick, and elated. For 2 weeks, 13 countries play on the ship's deck. Languages collapse. A new pidgin is invented. Arguments are settled with laughter and gestures. The players start calling him Papa Rimet. On the 13th night, somewhere off Brazil, the sea turns glassy. The final deck match ends in a 7-7 draw, with sudden death penalties. Players collapse laughing. Rimet writes in his diary, "If this ship is all the peace we ever manage, it will still have been worth every franc, every insult, every sleepless night." 1934. Rome. Mussolini wants football as a theater. Rimet shakes the dictator's hand, but secretly plans to protect South American teams. 1936. Berlin Olympics. Other dictators want football under their regimes and control. Rimet refuses, risking FIFA's finances. South America supports him. 1938. France hosts. After the Anschluss, Austria no longer exists. Rimet insists the Austrian flag be honored in every stadium. A minute's silence observed. Thousands, including Great War veterans, stand in quiet reverence. The trophy survives World War II hidden in a coal cellar. Rimet, now in his 60s, works under Vichy to avoid forced labor, while maintaining correspondence, ensuring FIFA's survival. 16 July 1950, menos Maracanã. Uruguay beats Brazil. The stadium falls silent. Rimet walks across the pitch, hands the trophy. To Alcides Guilherme. Felicidades, hijo. The world needed joy today. Thank you for bringing it. He retires in 1954, half blind, nearly broke. Dies in 1956, watching France play the Soviet Union. Last words, they played, they all came back and played. Everything that follows, billions of viewers, stadiums, social media, emotional unity, is the echo of Rimet's vision. The World Cup is the longest-running act of collective hope humanity has ever invented. Every whistle, every roar, every goal is proof that shared joy can transcend hatred and war. Jules Rimet did not just give us the World Cup. He gave us a recurring, reliable reminder that humanity can choose joy over violence. And for almost a century, the world has honored that choice. If you knew that Jules Rimet was the name of an actual person, not just the trophy, hit the subscribe button now.